I really consider myself someone that is in service. My service happens to be singing, songwriting. I'm an author. I do retreats. I do a variety of things. Who I be is someone that really cares about people, their well-being, and how they grow and evolve. What can you do to step into who you are? And what does that mean for you? Not what the masses want, not what TikTok wants you to do.
Welcome, everyone, to the One Moment Podcast. I'm your boy, co-host, Kevin. I am a licensed clinician in the state of North Carolina. Just as a gentle reminder, anything we talk about on this podcast is educational only. None of it is clinical related, professional related, anything of that sort. We don't endorse any type of specific clinical ideology or any type of medical interventions. We are only educational. So if you need to seek a professional, please go to a local professional in your area. Local hospital, local crisis center. You can use Psychology Today for a mental health professional in your area. And if you're in need of immediate help, you can dial 911 or 988. We have a beautiful and amazing guest on our show today, and I was talking to her, getting to know a little about her and some of her history, and I'm gonna do my best not to chop her name up. But absolutely a beautiful name, a beautiful spirit, and I'm looking forward to see where this conversation goes today because listen, here on the One Moment Podcast, we do things unscripted. We do genuine conversations around mental health, substance use, suicide prevention. That's just how we roll. Miss Glenda Benevides, if I
Yeah,
pronounced that
you
right.
did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
Wow. So, for the audience who don't know you, tell us a little bit about you. And then I know we were briefly before the show, we were
Yeah,
talking about some of your passions in the mental health
yeah.
community and the mental health field.
Ooh, that's a crazy one. It's more than who do you do? Who do I be? Um, I really consider myself someone that is in service, and my service happens to be singing, songwriting. I'm an author, and I do retreats and I do a variety of things. So that's what I do, and who I be is someone that really cares about people, their well-being, and how they grow and evolve. And I think right now we're really being called, all of us, to wake up, really wake up to who you are, and what can you do to step into who you are, and what does that mean for you? Not what the masses want, not what TikTok wants you to do. I think we get ourselves in trouble if we run down all these roads that have nothing to do with really who we are. We need to get quiet and take some time out to really discover that and get in dialogue with someone such as yourself or anybody else that you feel connected to just really dig into, this is who I am, this is what I'm really passionate about, not what everyone's telling you. So I that's kind of it in a nutshell as far as what I'm a stand for, is that, and I'm just a yes to all that.
Wow, absolutely beautiful, beautiful intro.
Mhm.
Definitely appreciate it. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think recovery, and when I use the term recovery,
Yeah.
right, I mean recovery from anything, right?
Yeah,
Mental health, substance,
absolutely.
yeah. But it is about knowing who you are, having a connection with yourself. I typically teach about communication being a three-way street, right? It's two ways between you and I, right?
Yeah,
But the most important of that conversation or that communication between you and I is my ability to communicate with myself. So I'm
absolutely.
glad that you brought that up and you mentioned that. And yeah,
Absolutely.
too often the world is telling us who to be, how to do this,
Totally.
that, and the third.
For their own devices. I mean, if you have a solid foundation inside of yourself, it's easy to watch a company come at you with, "Hey, you should wear this," because then you feel free to have a choice because you know who you are. It's like, yeah, that's kind of hip and happening right now, but I'm extremely overweight and that's not going to look good. you know, or I'm going to feel really uncomfortable, or, I'm going to feel like an outcast, or something like that. You don't feel like you're aligned with yourself. So in my book, Courage, Find Your Fire, Ignite Action in Your Life, what I took on with that was, bottom line, first is clarity. You got to have clarity. Then you can have the courage. Then confidence comes, then commitment, then community. And you can't do it out of order like that. I mean, you can, but you're going to find yourself messed up in many ways. So anyway, that's kind of my foundation of where I start with writing my memoir. It's a teaching memoir.
As you were saying, I was thinking the 5 C's, right? Like, because really, and then you wrapped it up with community, right?
Yeah.
Connection with somebody else is so beautiful. My theory of connection, okay,
Yeah.
and this is something that I also teach about, is survival of the species,
Mm.
right? Like, we're biologically wired to to socialize with somebody, to
Mhm.
socialize with at least one other person.
Mhm.
I mean, think about, I've met so many people who, been in prison or jail, and they get put into the hole,
Mm.
and they have severe PTSD,
Yeah.
almost complex, right?
Yeah.
And why is that? I think because they're isolated.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you never get to learn or grow if you're all by yourself all the time.
Mm,
You need the interaction, you need the reflection, you need the conversation to happen in order to see yourself. Hopefully, if you're open to that, I mean, there are people that are running on fear,
right.
and that's all there is, and so everything is locked out, everything is narcissistic, everything is me, 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 and that's just a symptom of you know protecting yourself, which is silly because it's not real, but it
Mm,
is real for that person.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. No, I think I definitely would have to agree with you on that. I don't think we were ever meant to be a full individualistic society.
yeah,
And in my work, I've seen the detrimental impacts of
yeah,
not socializing.
right,
Yeah, and that's what I'm glad. I love about people like yourself. Many other people like us do, right? We do this thing we do a lot in the community,
hmm,
trying to bridge gaps between mental health, substance use,
hmm,
suicide prevention, and the general public. There's a huge stigma that's out
yeah,
there. I've met so many people who have said, and I'm not knocking religion when I say this, but I've met so many people who have said, "Oh, if you just get Jesus in your life, you'll be okay," or
hmm,
and it's like,
hmm.
you know, do you really believe in schizophrenia? Do you really believe in bipolar?
Yeah, exactly.
And their response is, "Nah, they just got a demon living in them."
Oh, oh,
Oh, okay.
okay. We
Right.
need to do a psych eval.
No, we definitely need to do some evaluations across the board. But yeah, no. So yeah,
Yeah, that's my opinion on. I mean, I understand the underpinnings of things, but when I hear somebody goes that they become a plural, you know, I'm thinking to myself, you got people living inside, you got a male and a female living inside, you got a what inside, it's like, then I'm like, there's some issues happening here. We should take a look at that. I identify as a pine cone, like, really?
right.
Okay.
Listen, and here's what I typically try to explain to people, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not up to me to judge whether how that person is or not. Like, I have my own personal beliefs, like yourself, but I've seen that. I don't know where that started, and
Me neither.
I don't know. I don't know.
The only thing I can think of, and I know you're the professional, but the only thing I can think of is that they really are starving for attention. Like they really want to be special. You know, they want to be seen. Like there's, I just feel like that. You know, it's one thing
Mm.
to, you know, like I feel like inside of me, yeah, I'm sitting in a female body. And I also have masculine qualities. Of course, I have testosterone and estrogen, you know, I have all of it. So, but I don't feel the need to make sure that everybody needs to know that this is what I am today, you know, or whatever, because
Right.
then that starts to make me go, what is it that you need? Like, it's not the marker, it's not the label that you need. It's something inside of you that's missing, that you feel that you need to have something outside of you validating you, acknowledging you, seeing you as something that you may or may not be. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying now.
for opinion purposes only. No.
Right, and I don't know. I mean, I've worked with some of that, some folks in that population
Yeah.
professionally.
Yeah.
I don't,
Talk to me, brother. Tell me.
I don't know if it's attention. I don't know. I honestly don't know, and you know, whether I believe. I want to make sure I use the right words here. I think it's regardless, right? And this is how I have to be professionally, right?
Yeah.
Uh, it's not up for me to kind of judge one way or another. It's not up
Yeah.
for me to decide one way or another.
Right.
But and I think that's what is key. Living within the political situation here, right?
Hmm.
Like I don't go out and professionalize and say, okay, this, that, and the third. I advocate for people, right? At the core of it all, I'm like you know, like I don't want my ideas, I don't want people to push off on me their ideas, right? Because we're all supposed to, if we're talking about living in a collectivistic and or an individualistic society, I think it goes back to,
Yeah.
you know, hey, it's okay for you to have your beliefs and let me have my beliefs,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's what is going awry on both sides of the political spectrum here,
Agreed.
right? Um, and I'm not saying one side is right or wrong. I'm not taking any sides on that, but I see it on both sides.
Yeah.
And I think I got a buddy of mine, and you've probably heard his name. His name is Joseph Wooten, phenomenal musician. And I try to think like, and I this is why I wish a lot of people would get right, professionals, non-professionals, all of that is he talks about unifying.
Hmm.
He does a lot of work with veterans and
Yeah.
trauma and substance use and mental health. And his message is about unifying with one another, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that part is missing.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. That's what I have
Yeah.
observed. Um, I now I might be wrong. I might be wrong 100%. I don't know. What do you does that make sense on what I'm saying?
Yeah, it totally does. And I agree with that 100%. I've always, you know, I grew up in a variety of alternative communities. Since you know, I'm a young person, I just I never wanted to label really anything. But I think the extremes of whoever, you know, it's like it makes y'all, you know, especially, you know, in the gay community, we all go, "What?" Like, "What?" It's
Right.
like, I mean, and it's fine if you know, if you address a situation and just say, "Hey, you know, today I feel like I'm this and I want to, you know, can you relate to me that's way?" But to like come at somebody or attack them because they didn't realize that you look like a female and they didn't realize that you wanted something else. You know what I'm saying? I think that
Yeah.
that's the extreme, not to
Yeah.
say that that's everybody, but you know, it's just like I really think the bottom line is, like you said, mental wellness. You have to you have to start there. You have to start in the foundation. You have to look at the traumas and the things that you've gone through, and you have to at some point come to your own Jesus moment within oneself and say, okay, that's what's happened, and how do I negotiate through this so I feel better, so I can relate better. And I think once we do that, and we're creating that wonderful foundation of self-love, self-care, self-understanding,
Mm,
once we're there, then we can go, okay, this is what I'm choosing, or not just a knee jerk reaction or a reaction to something just because I want to be something, or I need the attention, or I need to feel loved because, it's everything on top of everything. It's like the homeless situation. It's like no one's dealing with the core issue of what's going on underneath all that. We're all just like, well, let's put a band-aid on it and we'll move it down the road, and it's like, no, that's not, it's not working.
the Supreme Court.
It's not right.
Bucket down the road.
We'll just kick it down the road. It's like, no. If we start to deal with the core issues of things, period, across the board, I think we'll be a healthier society. We'll be able to be in community. We'll be able to talk about stuff.
Right. No, no, I definitely agree with you on that. 100%. I think that's because I see a lot of that is missing. Let's just kick it down kick the can down the road,
Hmm.
or kick the bucket down the road, whichever
Hmm.
phrase you want to use.
Right.
Whether anything is related to trauma or not, there's a lot of stuff, right? A lot of the times, there's this huge push right now, I think, for generational trauma, right? And generational, the stuff that we're taught, our parents are taught, our grandparents are taught, and it just keeps going down the line. Well, I think the buck has to stop with me totally,
100%.
right? And it goes back to what you were saying: self care, self love, self understanding, right? I need to
Hmm.
understand myself at the
Hmm.
core of me, right? I have to
Hmm.
understand me.
100%.
Yeah, it's not my job to go out there and tell you what I think you should know or what you
Right.
should believe. It's not my job. But my job is to advocate for me, right? And
Yeah.
to learn how to live in a society
Hmm.
with you.
Yeah.
And I think that is really what we've gotten away from.
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that it's that look outside, look over here, care about there. Narcissism, it's this extreme everything. And I think I think it's just working itself out. But, for everybody that's listening, it's a journey. It's not like one and done. I know myself now. It's like who I was at 20 and who I am now is a different person. The core part of me is this
Right.
very similar, but because I've always been a philanthropic type of person, that's who I am. But and I'm still singing since I was 4, singing
Wow.
professionally since I was 16. So, yeah, so it's you just got to keep working at it at every stage, every evolution, of your life. And I think we'll find more joy, more willingness to communicate, more willingness because you'll have the confidence, you know.
Yeah. No, I definitely could understand and agree with that too. I think that, if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Mm,
My interpretation of that top piece of that pyramid, once I understand, once I come to the ability of understanding me, having that self-knowledge, self-understanding,
yeah,
self-acceptance is another one. It's a huge one with self-acceptance. But
yeah,
I'm able to live a meaningful and purposeful life. I have the ability to be me and
yeah,
be one amongst many.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter, right? If I'm able to get to that point in life, it doesn't matter what the next person identifies with. It
Right.
doesn't matter, whether that person is black, white, Chinese, Applejack. It doesn't matter.
Exactly,
None of
exactly.
none of that matters because I have the ability and capability of living in unity with others. And you're right, trauma in our history, when we don't deal with that and heal from it, stops us from obtaining that
That's right.
ultimate goal.
That's right. And your ego always wants to protect.
Right?
So it's just, let's protect this. Okay, what do we do? What does Glenda do when she protects, kind of thing? And the ego goes, well, you go away, or you lash out or whatever, you defend,
No,
and we all have it. but we have to be aware of it so we can allow it to dissipate. Otherwise, you'll just keep running like a hamster on a wheel, doing the same thing, getting the same results and the same day, and right, and you're like, I want to kill myself, it's like,
Well,
stop. And it's like, I totally get it. So
no, yeah, yeah. And I got a friend of mine. She calls that domesticated ego.
yeah.
We have to
Okay.
learn how to domesticate this thing, because if we don't, it'll run rapid. My phrase for ego is,
Yeah.
there's many of them, right? Easing God out, easing groups of people out. Like, you could put anything for the G, right?
Yeah.
And that is very true, because I'm living only for myself in that moment
Mm,
when that ego is not domesticated. So
yeah.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that came up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all connected, it's like there's action reaction, and it's like,
Mm,
what am I doing with that? you
yeah.
know am I going to have a fight? Am I going to melt down with this person, or am I going to try to understand based on what my foundation is? you know
Mm,
and am I loving and respecting myself enough to speak up or speak out, and not in a harmful way that it shuts doors, which is really difficult, easy to say, but more difficult to do, you know?
Have you ever felt like the world would be better off without you? You're not alone, and there's more to this feeling than you might think. New research reveals that suicidal thoughts and behaviours are unique to each individual, challenging the old belief that it's solely due to depression. When people are suicidal, they often believe they are a burden and that their absence would relieve others. They might see suicide as a solution to their overwhelming problems, feeling lost and unloved. But ancient wisdom, like that from the Bhagavad Gita, teaches us to give up selfishness and embrace kindness, respect, and compassion for all. St. Paul once said, "Love never fails," reminding us of the enduring power of love in our lives. No matter where you are in your struggles, remember that someone cares about you, trusts you, and loves you. You are not a burden. Time has a way of healing, and your struggles will pass. Don't give up before the miracle happens. Hold on, because peace and love are within reach. If you need immediate help, please contact local emergency services. Peace and love to all. KO.
yeah.
So, but yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's easy. It's easier said than done.
Hmm.
I think the complete total opposite of ego is humility and humbleness.
Yeah.
Uh, Again, easier said than actually done. So
Ah,
my
but
my my
but
question.
isn't that interesting though? Like, it just hit me. So if you're triggered by something, aha, that's the place to look. If you have somebody coming at you, or you interpret something about that situation or that person or that phrase or whatever they said, whatever word, if you've got a trigger on that and you immediately go, I want to react, that's the place to look. Now, that's an interesting place to go.
Well, I guess then you're talking about root cause. You get into the root cause of
Yes,
whatever it is that's driving you in that moment, or
that's right.
wanting to drive you in that moment.
That's right.
Oh,
Isn't that interesting though? It's
yeah.
like, right? It's like, oh, well, that really made me angry. And then if you let's say I'm just making stuff up, but you click back and you go, oh yeah, when I was 6, my father told me I couldn't do X, and that really pissed me off. And that guy reminds me of my father. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should go do some work on forgiveness, with myself and my father. you know?
Right.
I was just I'm just
Yeah.
making stuff up, but
Well, professionally, I am in existentialism.
mhm,
Okay. And
mhm.
so Viktor Frankl is one of my favorite theorists. And I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes.
One of my favorite things about Viktor Frankl is he wrote, and this is for anybody who doesn't know who he is a Jewish Holocaust survivor. He wrote about hope and meaning. And I think it is about finding meaning and hope in
Yeah.
our experience, right?
Yeah.
Or experiences, plural. For me, I think it goes back to really, that's the core of, if I can figure out the meaning of what that trigger is,
Mm-hmm.
I might be able to change that meaning, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and come to understand it differently.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We are meaning making machines after all.
Right. We've been here for couple of thousand years, human beings have. So I think we've come a long way with trying to figure out and understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had such amazing people come before us. I mean, we've got Jung, we've got Nietzsche, we got Socrates, we got, a lot of philosophers that have posed wonderful questions. I mean, know thyself. Hello.
Right.
Right.
Physician, heal thyself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I mean, my least favorite philosopher, believe it or not, is going to be Plato. Was he a great philosopher? Yeah. Okay. I'm not in disagreement with him being a great philosopher, but some of his ideologies I could not get behind. And I think because if we look at the current state of the mental health crisis and substance use
Mm,
crisis, not
mm,
just in the United States, but around the world, I don't think his philosophy would actually
work.
fit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, and it's to me, some of his ideas scare the mess out of me.
Mm,
No.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's I think we're in some amazing times actually. I think, yeah, you look around and go, "Oh, this is going on, this is going on." But
Mm.
I really feel like it's the dragon that's coming up that's got all kinds of stuff on it, It's like, well,
Right.
at least it's not under the carpet anymore. All the nasty stuff that we see. And I think it's so important now that we're so connected through, the internet and our phones and everything. We really, again, even more so, we need to know thyself, because those things are going to pull us and give us opinions and give us ideas. And you're going to have to sort through that. And you're going to have to sort through that on a foundation that is you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are moments that I've had to get through my own stuff where you just there's a part of you wants to give up, or you just feel like you want to crawl out of your skin. I've had that moment where you're just like,
Right.
I don't like myself so much. I don't like myself. You're like, I just want to not be me.
Yes, I've been there 100 times, more
Yeah.
times than I can count.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it goes back to at the core of us is learning and understanding who we are and coming to a state of self-acceptance. I
Yeah.
mean, I've had my moments where I didn't like myself, I didn't want to be myself, I wanted to be somebody else.
Yeah.
I think that's part of normal everyday life, right?
Yeah.
Or normal life in general,
Yeah.
normal human development. And thank goodness for the people who's walked this path before us, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. We've made tremendous progress. 2,000 years ago, it was, males who ran society, right? It
Mhm.
was males in positions of power. Times like that have changed. So we've made significant. Are we perfect? No. Are we ever going to be perfect? No.
Yeah.
In 2020 during COVID, again, I'm not getting into on the political side of that, but
Mhm.
during the middle of COVID, there was a lot of stuff I saw: domestic violence out the roof,
Yeah.
suicide out the
Yeah.
roof,
And
relapse rates.
And again, that's because nobody has the toolkit. Nobody has we're teaching math. We're not teaching how to take care of yourself. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying, in school? And that if your parents don't have that background or that mindset, then you're not going to necessarily learn that, or your community doesn't have that. Maybe it's a little more impoverished than other, you know what I'm saying? And so, it always goes back to that, you talking about, through the roof, violence, all of it. Well, there's a reason. There's, one doesn't understand oneself or communicate well or have the tools or know who to reach out to, you know? Um, yeah, I can't stress that enough. I mean, I constantly work on myself. I constantly go, okay, what do I need? What do I need next? Like, how do I feel about this situation? What do I think about this situation? Like, so I'm using all the levels of one's being, right?
Right.
And then I go, where do I want to go? How do I make a difference? How do I take care of myself better? Things like that. It's like self-referral, constantly asking questions to oneself to help oneself, creating that nice foundation, because when that storm comes, you're going to want to break down. And there's nothing wrong with breaking down either, because they break down to break through, right? but
Right.
but man, I mean, I understand, and I have I'm nothing perfect over here, it's always a work in progress, so
Right.
yeah, I totally get it. And I'm so grateful for people like yourself, young men like yourself, that is out there really standing for, we are all one, and let's look a little deeper, and I got you. I'm here, you
No.
know. You know, thank you for you.
Thank you for that. As you were talking, right, and sharing your experience, I got to thinking about my own experience. And we've talked about self-acceptance, self-love, right, and
Yeah.
learning to be who we are, just to come to understand us. And do a lot of DBT training, dialectical behavioral therapy training. And in that, I teach a lot about emotions. And when I'm experiencing something, there's always going to be an emotion with every single experience, regardless if it's contentment, contempt, guilt, jealous, happiness, sadness, anger, fear. There's always going to be some emotion with whatever experience it is. And I think part of that development process,
Mm,
regardless of age here, regardless of whatever your background is, I think a big part of that is allowing yourself to experience.
mm,
Allow
mhm,
yourself. You the same questions you asked, that you were just going over, that you ask yourself, I ask those same questions too, very similar. When I am going through and I am experiencing
mm.
something, I am asking myself, what does this mean to me?
Yeah.
Okay, how am I feeling at this moment? Like, I am going deep into reflection, because the thinking goes back to, we have to allow ourselves to experience. If we don't allow ourselves to
Exactly.
experience, as you said, how do you change? How do you grow? How do you adapt? And
Yeah.
this is regardless of, cultural background,
Mhm.
gender, race, religious beliefs, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
We have to
absolutely.
allow ourselves to, experience life in and of itself.
Yeah. And I think that will help move society forward. This is our time this is the next generation to evolve, to have, again, thank you for you and the skills that you have, and then to be able to pass those on and give people the tools that they need to really step powerfully into themselves. Like, who am I going to be? What am I going to do with the next 30 years of my 40, 50 years of my life? How do I want to be that contribution, not only to my family, friends, the community, the world, you know, and not on an empty, what would be a really good example? I can't think of one, but like a glass,
A glass half empty or a
kind of
glass
like
half full.
if you're sitting on something that the foundation is just really weak, you
Uh,
know, it could,
cracked foundation.
yeah, like it could
I
just
would-
break,
Yeah.
it's like, why do I want to be the governor of, you know, Alabama? Why?
yeah.
And that, I mean, right? Not just, oh,
Yeah.
my ego says, I just want, I don't know,
Right, right. Yeah. It goes back to domesticated ego, and
yeah,
really learning to
that's great.
understand ourselves.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, because there's so many things that, like, I could run for president of the US, but why?
yeah,
There's so
why?
I mean, there's 300 something million people in the US. Let somebody else take the job, okay? I was built to be a mental health professional and work with all types of people and work
Yeah,
across wherever, work with whomever, and try
yeah,
to help be a part of the solution to the mental health crisis.
yeah,
Not to be president, right? Like,
right.
I have to understand why
Yeah,
I am making decisions
that's
to the
right.
best of my ability.
That's right.
Because if I don't
And you're
understand my decisions, right? If
that's
we
right.
don't, go ahead.
Oh no, and I kept saying, well, because you're in alignment with yourself. You know that
Right,
you want to be a health professional. Why would you run for the president?
right.
It's like no.
Right. I think a big part of life, and this is regardless of, yeah, do I think some people are sicker than others? I've worked with a lot of folks who are severely, severe diagnoses. And I mean,
Yeah.
severe. Do I think they have the capability of truly understanding who they are? I'm not the researcher or the scientist or the prescriber, so I'm not going to say
Yeah.
one way or another. I'm not a professional in that area, but I do think a big part of life is
Mm.
coming to grips with who I am. Eric Erickson, father of psychosocial stages of change,
Mm.
he theorized that as we get older, part of the main tasks in life is there's two of them. One is reflecting on my life,
Yeah.
on my whole life, right? And so I can come to a stage of acceptance before I'm 10 foot up or 10
Right.
toes up, excuse me.
Mhm.
And then two is trying to teach the next generation, give away what I can
Mm. Mm.
before I'm 10 toes up.
I
And
love
I
that.
and I
Mm.
think that's
Mm.
as we age, I think that's, for me, that's where my brain goes is what am I giving back to society?
Yeah.
Am I happy with my life decisions?
Yeah. Well, and I think that works when you're healthy. I think that then because then you have the energy, time, and space for that, and the clarity. You know, then you're clear about who you are. You're clear about what you're doing. You have the courage, confidence, commitment, and community. Yeah, you have that. That's moving. That's grooving, and then you can share that.
Right?
If you're a lone wolf just sailing off into the sun, you know, that's a choice.
No, right? Right, and unfortunately, so many people sell off into the wind,
Yeah.
blindsided. Maybe they're trying to escape. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, I don't think addiction is a brain disease, right? I think it's about trying to escape a feeling that I don't want to experience, or escape an
Yeah.
experience that I don't want.
Yeah.
Um, and that's total. That's my whole belief on. Well, not my whole, but most of my beliefs on substance use. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, being a musician, I, I, I grew up in a family, a blue collar family that, drank and smoked, and I never did. And then I went into a professionally, money making, touring.
Right.
That's when everybody around me was drinking, drinking, smoking, it's like, but I never did. That was something that I really took my profession as serious. And I knew that would hurt me. Plus it was expensive. Like who wants to spend money on that? And I just feel bad the next day. But as far as, being around that all the time, it always felt like to me, people want to reach for a cocktail, or a cigarette to anesthetize, to, like you said, squelch down that feeling or that experience or that abuse or whatever it's there, or they just want to feel happy.
Mhm.
I just want to feel happy, or maybe they had addicted parents and it's just in their system.
Mm.
I mean, obviously I'm not a professional, but for professional purposes only. No, I'm just being funny.
Right.
This is my opinions and just my experience, and I would see it all the time. And I was fortunate though. I had really great parents and I had a really good foundation inside myself to begin with. So I knew that was harmful and I didn't want to do that to myself. I knew enough of that, and I loved what I did. So I knew that being impaired as a singer is not good. It's not pretty. I tried it once and it was like, this is not fun. Wow. You know, leave that for after hours, But
Right.
yeah, I was just like, oh my goodness. But yeah, just seeing people around me, just everybody wanting to take those substances, and it's just so they can feel better, have a good time. It's all linked, right? It's all linked.
Right.
Have a good time, party, that equates to,
Yeah.
a cocktail or, a cigarette or some marijuana or whatever it is, I have no judgment on any of it. Never worked for me. So, um, you know,
Yeah,
and
no. And unfortunately, I think what you're saying speaks volumes to many people, right? In order to have fun, I have to drink. In order to have fun, I have to smoke, right? Like
yeah,
it's like conditioning. It's like trying to train a dog.
totally.
We literally learn similarly. When I'm out there and I'm living this huge success life, right? I have arrived. People mentally think that it's the alcohol, the drugs, the
Yeah.
money, the fame,
Yep.
whatever I have arrived means. And I think it's
I
really
have
too
I've arrived to an expensive rehab,
right.
because I can't get on stage to make the money. But, and I also see that, which I thought was really interesting. A friend of mine, when he drinks, he gets emotional. And so that's his outlet to be more loving, more emotional, more connected, which I think is really interesting. Otherwise, very stoic, very on point, very businesslike, But when he has a cocktail, he can kind of the illusion goes away or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the healthcare field, we call that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
When you're sober, versus when you're drunk or under the influence, right?
Yeah.
Two total different persons right there.
Yeah.
It's literally, in my mind, I think about, multiple personality disorder. It's
Mm,
really not that, right? But
right.
it's
Right.
two total different people, two total different attitudes, total different ways of thinking. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what it does. That's what it does. I've worked
Yeah.
with so many folks and I've talked to so many family members. As soon as you ask, well, tell me what was going on. Can you tell me what this person's normal baseline is when they're
Yeah.
doing well or sober, right?
Yeah.
You will get two complete different pictures.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because drinking is like a really weird form of therapy, you know, um, um, a chemicalized therapy, where you can feel free to be emotional or to, say what you want to say or feel something, you know, and that's interesting. I'm like, oh, that's, I mean, what a lot of times when people drink, you go, I don't like that person. But sometimes when people drink, you go, I do like that person. I wish you could be more of that on an hourly basis.
Right.
Yeah. Without taking your liver out,
Yeah, yeah, no,
Like,
100, yeah, yeah, and it goes back to that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
right,
Yeah, I mean, complete different people. Either there's mean or sweet when they're
right.
sober, and either they're mean or sweet when they're under the influence. And that's sad. That
Mm,
is sad. I think what I love about the 12-step programs is,
mm,
and they teach about it, and it's I think one of the most simple ways you can teach it. The individual is
mm,
discontented with self,
mm.
right?
I love that.
Right. And it goes back to learning, it doesn't matter who you are or
Mm,
whatever the case may be, it goes back to the simplicity of being who we are, learning who
yeah,
we are. So I have a question for you then.
yeah.
You're a musician, you've been a musician since age 4. How did you come to know that you were this person?
Gosh, it was step by step, and it started in well, I was singing along with my dad in the car at 4, um, but then when I got in school, in a grade school, then they introduced instruments, like different musical instruments, and I just had an aptitude for singing, so I just was in a choir and that kind of thing, and I just one thing led to another, and I just knew that I loved it, and that was my part of my self-expression, you know? And so I went ahead and, just kept at it, and I remember when I was in junior high, I was walking down the hall, and I said to my 'cause I was the only grade school kid that made it into junior high choir, like swing choir. So
Wow.
that was a big deal, right? And so, I was riding high on being able to do that and loving it. And then I asked myself, I remember like, I don't know, walking through the halls going, why do you want to be famous? That's what I said to myself. Why do you want to be famous? And I said, I just want to contribute to people. That's what I said. I just want to contribute. It's like the junior high brain. I'm like, I just want to contribute to people. Like, wow, okay. Budding philanthropic human there. Yeah.
Right. Now, how do you feel like music relates to recovery? I'm curious as to your take on that. I have my own take, but I want to know your take on this, and maybe you can teach me something or add to what I do believe.
Okay. I believe that it's self-expression. So it's words with notes. So if you're just singing, I can talk to you like this. See, and it just it kind of lights up different centers in the body, and it's just a part of self-expression. So sometimes, like, you've heard things where people have said, well, when he sings, he doesn't stutter. It's things like that because you're connecting it to a melody, a voice, a word. I'm saying a word, and so inside of all words and all notes, they're vibrations. And once you move those vibrations, you're activating different centers in the body. So especially in the throat, which is the communication, this is the throat chakra, it's a communication center. And so you're talking, you're singing, it's a little, I think sometimes musically, if you're singing, it's a little bit easier to get the point across, like for me, I wrote a line in one of my songs and it says, erase the garbage from your mind. And
Wow.
But it sounds better. It doesn't read good, garbage, and then I wrote, erase the garbage from our minds. Be the wings of change. Change it now. Like that. See, so it's a little easier to share that.
Wow. All right. So it's a form of self-expression, right?
Absolutely.
Do you think it unifies and do you think it brings folks together
100%.
regardless of ideology, background,
100%.
gender?
100%. Full stop. 100%.
Okay.
It is. It's about unifying. It really does. It really does.
How have you used your music to impact people?
I don't know. I'm joking. I think for me, it's from a really authentic place. So I know it's my gift. I know it's part of what I'm here to do, in vibrationally, musically. And so I just do it. So, and I allow others to take what they will from it. It's not really my place to go, this is what you're going to feel and this is how it's going to go. I can set intentions. Sure. I can do that before I get on stage, or before I record something. Great. That helps me align with the message that I'm bringing forth. But, it's up to you as a person in front of me or a group in front of me to take on whatever that means for you and hopefully inspire you to take on your life in ways that are magical too, and just to kind of give that validation, okay, whatever, not that people need it, but just to say, you've got a voice too. You can share your thoughts, your feelings, your expression, whether it's singing or not. And just to inspire people to that. Yeah.
Does anyone else have that one tool that makes building a website a breeze? In an era driven by digital change, WebHash is the indispensable tool that holds the key to effortless website creation. Create websites that endure, defy censorship, and bypass any single point of failure. As cutting-edge technology redefines reality, seize the power to build beyond limits. Join the Web3 revolution now and forge paths others can only dream of. Visit our site today and build your legacy. Building my own space on the web was always a grind until I hit up Webhash. Their no-code builder is my ace. It's swift and solid. It's like rocking a digital fortress that's immune to the typical shutdowns. Level up your web presence without stress. Ready to stake your claim in the digital realm? Dive into Webhash today, connect your Web3 wallet, and get started. They have multiple subscription plans, from a free version to a lifetime subscription. Check them out today at webhash.com. Most importantly, they sponsor the One Moment podcast, helping to raise awareness to critical topics in the healthcare field. Our official website was built using the Webhash platform. Throughout the projects that the One Moment movement built on Webhash, they stood behind and supported it all the way. Sign up and start building your website today. Don't forget to visit onemoment.chain.box and subscribe to our social media channels.
Yeah, well, you mentioned authenticity, and I think that's key. You know, a very key value and principle to strive for in life.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, when I was I think it was 6th grade, I remember going to Aiden Middle School, and they threw me in this band, and I had to get a flute and all that. And I told them, I told the principal and every person, I'm like, you don't want me in this music class. Like, you don't want to put me in any other class. We don't have any room, right? We don't have any room. You have to go here. You are required. And I kept telling them, I said, listen, I'm not a musician. I don't have a voice. I can't play anything on music wise.
Yeah.
So literally a week later, right after going through and being completely out of tune, can't carry a tune in the bucket, they finally moved me to a different class.
Yes.
Finally, you put me in a different class, right?
Yeah.
Like, some people have a voice, some people don't have a voice.
Correct.
You know, I'm one of those
Correct.
that if you listen, in order for me to sound like the artist of a song, I need to turn the radio up a little bit more. And then
And then you can sing along.
right. Right. I sound just like an artist.
But see, you know what's cool about that is that is allowed you self-expression.
Ooh, didn't think about that.
Right?
I didn't think about that.
You may suck, but man, you sang along with that, right? Okay,
Right.
you're not going to do it professionally,
Right.
and we're glad.
I am so glad. Oh my God, there's a funny story too I want to add to that. Right, when I was in the Army, stationed at Fort Bragg, the command sergeant major was needing people to volunteer to sing the national anthem. And I'm a jokester, okay? I'm a jokester. Let me just preface this with that statement.
Oh my God.
Everybody who knows me, all of my colleagues know I'm a jokester. All of the folks that I've ever served, they know I'm a jokester. So I'm like, and so the drill sergeants were saying, hey, listen, we need a volunteer to go practice, singing. I'm like, so I go up there, right? I go meet the command sergeant major, and I will never forget. He's a big old black dude wearing the Army suit, and all right, Odom, go ahead and give it a shot. And I get 3 words completely out of tune. Whoa, stop, just stop. He's rubbing his forehead, his temples. Odom, do you have another song that you might be that you can just try? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's give it a shot. And, you
are naughty.
Yeah, let's take it and kick this bucket down the road, right?
Okay.
And, I went off on the second song. I think it was Hank Williams Sr. I Saw the Light.
Okay.
I gave that one a shot completely. I got 2 words out. He was, would you just shut up? So back to your base camp, please. Just go. Just
stand down. Stand down. Stand down.
Oh my God. Yeah, so
oh my goodness, that's funny.
Right, I know. And me being a jokester has helped me get through so many dark times, so many hard times in life.
Yeah. That so helps, actually. If you can't laugh, I don't know.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
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 I think humor is a huge part of recovery. It's learning to laugh.
Yeah.
You talk about music being self-expression. Laughing is self-expression. It doesn't matter.
It
You
doesn't
laugh
matter.
at
Yeah.
yourself, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Oh yeah. So what if I wanted to hear a funny story about you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Any story
Uh-oh.
doesn't matter. Whatever
Okay.
story.
All right. Well, I was in Lake Tahoe,
Ooh.
and I was my band was playing. We were in this there was this big beautiful stage, and it was all wood, so it was kind of an old school. It was gorgeous. And I would do set changes and stuff, and we did like 4 or 5 sets, I think, that time. Anyway, and I'd come out and I'd have a new outfit on, and we were doing like dance routines and hip hop and that kind of stuff. And I and I went to do this scoop with my foot, and I slipped and I fell so hard on my ass that it went boom. And the whole, like, the audience went like this. They were like, and I just had to, like, okay, instead of dying of embarrassment, I did a quick roll, and then I just got right back up. Like, yeah, that's part of it. You know, it was very embarrassing. It was
Yeah. You just
it was funny. That was funny. Funny now.
yeah. Yeah. Oh my
Boom.
God. Yeah. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
so many times you just try to play it off. Oh my God. I could be in the middle of group therapy and I will say something, get tongue twisted, say something wrong, and I'll just get so embarrassed. You know. But the thing about it is too, it's one of those situations that when you're connected and you're unifying, right?
Yeah.
And you are authentic with self, like doesn't matter. You can
Yeah.
embarrass yourself all day.
Yeah. You just gotta keep going. Gotta keep doing it. Just like with my situation, it's like, yeah, it was super embarrassing. I mean, imagine being on a stage where everyone's looking at you and you fall like really hard, really loud. You know, it's just like, no, it was like the nightmare of all nightmares.
Right.
But was what the key was, what did I do with it? You know, did
Mm.
I just lay there? Did I run off stage? Did I start crying? I mean, those are all choices. But being the professional that I was, it was like, no, you're going to just do a roll, and then you're going to get back up and get right into that routine, just like it was supposed to happen, like that, you know?
Right. Listen, one of my major mistakes, and it wasn't a mistake. It was one of those kind of self-expression, right?
Yeah.
I rarely disclose to any patient at all. Rarely will I disclose. I've had my moments where I will, and I'm like, hey, I've never worked with this population before. Can you teach me how? Like, I will ask, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just depends on how I self disclose when I do. Our code of ethics says that we have to understand, are we disclosing for ourselves or are we disclosing for them? So I had the situation, I had to use technology for group. Okay. And this one specific piece of technology, I knew it was going to cause major issues. Okay. I knew it. And I and I know me. I know I'm gonna get frustrated and flustered and want to take the damn technology and sling it across the damn, room.
With expletives.
Right? Yeah. Son of a.
Uh,
So at the beginning of group, I'm trying to get this thing connected, and I just went ahead and self-disclosed, and I'm like, listen, y'all are going to see me get frustrated and flustered and everything under the sun. But the most important thing about today's group is y'all are going to see me practice radical acceptance today. And the group
It's
did not.
awesome.
Right,
That's
right.
awesome.
So I went ahead and covered myself, right? And it was so funny because about 6 reconnections later, okay, 6,
Oh gosh.
the group knew I was just done with. I'm over there rubbing my forehead like the command sergeant major rubbing my forehead. We should have rubbed the
Yeah,
temples and
you're like, help me.
right. Oh gosh. And the funny thing is at the end of that thing, the whole group was laughing at me because they saw me. They
Yeah,
saw me be human.
yeah, and which is
They
awesome. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So many times I think we try to, anybody, we try to put onto this, to this world a stage character, right? This mask.
yeah,
And I think what a lot of people forget is we're human first,
yeah,
right? You
yeah.
can, doesn't matter. You can identify as black, Chinese, white, male, female, political ideology, religious ideology. You can throw
Right.
all those labels on us. You're right.
Yep.
You can throw on the fact that you're a musician and I'm a therapist. Doesn't matter. Take away all the labels at the core of it all.
That's right.
We're human beings.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're human. And what's our intention? Like, what's
Mm.
the intention?
Yeah.
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 It's always good to, I think, wake up, daily and really create your day. Instead of just being at the mercy of like, I got to get up and do this and I exercise, it's like, well, what do you want to create today? Like, who do you want to be today? Maybe I'm going to go to the store today and I'm going to open the door for somebody, or my intention today is to brighten up my life or brighten up somebody's life or something, like that. It could
Yeah.
be anything, it's like, I think those are fun things to do to really allow yourself to anchor in to
Mhm.
who you are,
Yeah.
and be your best friend today.
Yeah, I think it goes into being intentional. I
Yeah,
have to be intentional with all of my, decisions to the best of my ability.
that's right.
Not just intentional, but it goes back to domesticating the ego.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
am I holding this door open?
Yeah.
Right. Why am I, paying for this person's groceries? Why am
Yeah.
I doing this? Why am I doing that? And if I'm doing it for, publicity, then I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. But if I'm doing it just trying to be of service,
That's right.
I think that's key there is domesticating the ego and being intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are just really great questions to ask oneself. You're starting out your day. Catch yourself, catch those things, catch that. Oh, like you just said, am I buying that person's groceries because I need to be seen? Or I need that thank you. Like, is that because I don't feel the thank you inside already? You know what I mean? Or am I just buying that because I really want them to be taken care of? I could see that they were struggling. They need a little help or something. Or that's just my way of tithing. Some people just do, they tithe like that. I plant trees. That's how I tithe.
Well, hey, listen, we all got to do something for the community somehow, right?
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Some of us plant trees. Some of us, adopt children, and some of us run a podcast. So
That's right.
yeah, yeah. It's all about being of service, some way, shape, form, or fashion.
That's right. And that goes back to the authenticity.
Right.
That's what you authentically are and want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It empowers you and it empowers other people.
Yeah, no, I think it's if I can be authentic and learn how to
Yeah.
somehow maintain that. Is it going to be perfect? No, right? But progress is progress, whether
That's
it's
right.
by an inch or a cinch. But I'm able to empower somebody else. And what do you feel like? I'm curious as to your thought process. What do you feel like we're missing on that with our ability to empower somebody else or unify with another person? What do you feel like is the things or maybe something we're missing or are some of the things that we are missing in that
Yeah.
area?
Well, I really feel in order to be able to give to anybody else, empower other people, create unity, create that connection, you really have to go within. You really have to start. It has to start here. You have to have that self-reflection. You have to have that Why am I not happy? Ask those questions. What makes me, why am I afraid of that? What is it? Why do I get sick every time I do? Like those are like really good questions. Why do I want to have that drink? Why? And then wait for the answer, wait for it. Well, because I'm afraid to be seen. I'm afraid, or whatever, just wait for the answer. And then it doesn't mean that you're going to like solve it like that. But you know what? You can take those questions and those answers and talk to somebody about it and say, I don't have the tools. I don't know how to get through that. Dang it. I'm just mad. I'm just mad every time I see X, or that person comes by me, or I'm still pissed at my dad. And then you can start. Well, and then you could go, well, have you seen the triggers? Oh yeah, my trigger is I want to have a drink, or I want to shut down, or I just want to attack somebody, then okay, now we're making progress here, right?
Yeah.
And then start doing things that really serve you in a healthy way, not serve you from an egotistical way, a
Right.
narcissistic way that
Yeah.
you're just running from stuff, you're putting icing on a mud pie is what we call it.
Yeah.
You're just crap on top of crap.
No, I think a lot of what you say goes back to when I teach DBT, I typically teach that there's two ways of thinking, cognitive and emotional.
Yeah, I love this.
And I think this is what I do believe. I'm this is not a professional, opinion. This is my personal opinion.
Okay.
I think we've gotten to a point where we've gotten more on the aspect of making emotional decisions rather than cognitive decisions. If you look at back in the 1940s, whenever Ford first started making cars, well, you can buy any color Ford you wanted as long as it was black, right? You and now it's like, okay, I can buy any color Ford I want. Doesn't matter what the color is, right? And I do that for an emotional appeasement, right? I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied with having or not having. And I think we've gotten to a point, like I say, where it's more emotional decisions rather than cognitive decisions.
Yeah.
When I went and bought my new car, my favorite color is black, but I'm not about to pay $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 more dollars just for a black car, right? Just for it to be made and shipped here.
Exactly.
Right. No, I took the next, favorite color of mine, which was a silver gray color. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. It's still a shade of black. It's fine.
You sound like me. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was cognitively,
Cognitive.
emotionally happy
Yeah.
with what I had and
Yeah.
what I bought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. To my personal opinion, to connect to the emotional aspect of things, right? What is underneath that? If I'm consistently being sucked in by my emotions, whether it be positive or negative, what's underneath that, right? Looking at that decision, because your emotional decision and my emotional decision could be different, right? I may hate X and you may love X, and we both like, no, emotional decision, I'm not buying that. And you could go, I love that, so we're both in harm's way, actually, if you don't understand that. And I try to do the cognitive, emotional, not knowing your process, but I love what you said. I try to do both. I try to go, well, what's the logical way here? Why would I spend extra $10,000 on a color black? I'll use spray paint. No, I'm joking. But so what's my second best color, right? Well, I'm going to be really happy with that gray, silver gray. Same thing happened to me. Actually, with my car, I was going to get I thought I wanted a black car, and then I ended up having to take a white car, but then the white car was really great. And then this last car that I bought, I thought, okay, I'm going to get a black car, and then I go in there and it's like, no, there's no black cars for what I wanted. cognitively, right? I had a list of things that I wanted, and but it was a silver gray, and I go, okay, I like silver gray. It's good, like it's pretty. It's there's so I had to let go of black.
You're right. I think it's learning to be okay with what I have. Yeah, sure. If somebody pulls up beside me in a Lambo, I mean, I'm driving a freaking Subaru WRX. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I love the car. It's a 6-speed. Absolutely love the boxer engine. The
Uh-huh.
clutch took me a little while to get used to it because I went from a limited edition Sonata Hyundai that could drive
Uh-huh.
itself down the road to
Right.
I'm having to change gears now.
That's right.
My
Good for
inside
snow.
is not as limited as it was.
Yeah.
So, but if somebody pulls up in the Lambo beside me, sure, I'm gonna like the Lambo, but am I going to go in debt just to get it right? Like, no, I'm
Yeah.
happy with what I have. Right?
Yeah.
It's okay for me to like what other people have, but I also have to learn to be okay with what I have.
That's right.
You
That's
know?
right. That's right. I love that. And I think that, health-wise, I think psychologically, I think once you can come to those places and work with yourself on a deeper level like that, you're in a lot happier place. It's like a more, I don't know, healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm gonna take it one step further too than that. If you look at what's going on in substance use, addiction, stuff like
Mm.
that, right?
Oh, I have a question for you too.
Absolutely. In that moment, right? Like we're striving for a lifestyle, right? Yet, what are we truly striving for, right?
Mm.
In
Mm.
recovery and sobriety, I hear the same. I hear this one story, right? Everything that I was looking for in active addiction, I found in recovery, and they
Mm.
were okay with being okay, and being
Mm.
okay with not being okay.
Mm. Wow.
Now, what is your question?
Why fentanyl?
Well, fentanyl's cheaper to make. It's more highly addictive when compared to heroin. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't tell you the last time I saw heroin.
Wow.
I think the last time I saw heroin was in 20 was right around the COVID era was the last time I saw
Wow.
actual true heroin.
Wow.
Yeah.
And can somebody get off of fentanyl?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
100%. Yeah. The gold standard for opioid use disorder is medication assisted treatment, such as buprenorphine and or methadone. Now I know that's a very highly debated topic. I can agree with MAT and I can also disagree with MAT. I'm not going to get into the politics of it or the other people's personal beliefs. My personal belief is recovery is not a one-way street, right? There's not one way to get sober. Some people do the 12 steps, some people do MAT, some people do church, some people do temples, some people do mosques, some people do music like yourself, right?
Yeah.
That helps them get off. So to each person her or his own. But right now, the gold standard and the best practice is medication assisted treatment. I think there should be more than just MAT as far as, if a private practitioner wants to prescribe methadone, somebody outside of an MAT, because we have this huge opioid crisis that's going on, is continuing to get worse, depending on which stats you read. I haven't followed up on it, but I know there was a bill in Congress they were trying to pass that would open up the floodgates for private practitioners to be able to prescribe methadone, and people would be able to get it filled at a pharmacy. I support that idea. I think that there needs to be more than just MAT.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of success stories with fentanyl. A lot. I've seen more than I can count on my hands and feet.
Wow. Well, that's good actually, because you see it and you just go, wow.
Yeah, yeah. No, and
Who
it's
wants to do that drug? That's what
right, and no, you are right. I don't think nobody chooses to do it, right? Like xylazine, I don't think people choose to do xylazine, but it's in there, right? It is in their it is mixed in, and I think that's how we got to the fentanyl. That's part of what contributed to the fentanyl crisis. Now, there's many things that contributed to the fentanyl crisis. there's not just one simple factor. But in the beginning, there was a lot of stories, like too many to count, that individuals did not know the fentanyl was in their drug. It wasn't their choice to buy fentanyl,
Oh my goodness.
right? Yeah.
Wow.
Now you see where the story goes. I don't even have to
Gotcha.
finish it, right?
Oh my goodness.
The same thing with xylazine, right? There's a specific test you have to buy to test for xylazine. It doesn't show
Wow.
up on your general or regular, predominantly used drug screen. You have to specifically test for it. People don't know it is in the drug. And so when you look at Philly, when you look at Los Angeles and other bigger cities, yeah, it is devastating. It is very
Wow.
sad and devastating. Have you ever drove down Kensington Avenue?
In where?
Philadelphia. Apologies.
No.
No. Next time you're in Philly, drive down Kensington Avenue. That is fentanyl and xylazine. A huge part of it is, the crisis that you'll see on that one road.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it is sad.
Imagine a battle raging inside you, a battle between two wolves. One embodies all that is good, the other all that is evil. Vladimir Soloviev, a renowned Russian philosopher, once said, "What is important is not that in every man are the roots of good and evil, but which of the two prevails." This idea is beautifully captured in the Cherokee proverb about two wolves. When asked which wolf wins, the wise grandfather replied, "The one you feed." In our daily lives, we often feel pulled in various directions, experiencing internal conflicts and questioning our choices. These ideologies remind us to focus on doing what's right, to feed the good wolf within us. Feeding the good wolf means nurturing qualities like love, honesty, honor, integrity, respect, dignity, loyalty, and trust. Every day presents a new challenge. Which wolf will you feed today? Tomorrow? Next week? Next year? The choice is yours, and it shapes who you become. Will you let the good wolf prevail? Remember, the wolf you feed determines the path you walk and the person you grow into. So, as you close your eyes tonight, ask yourself, which wolf will you feed? Good night, family. KO.
That it makes you, it's ignorance, right? So if you don't know, you don't know, right? It's like running down trying to understand it. But that was really eye-opening what you said around, it could be just a regular drug that someone's getting, after their surgery or something, and it's got fentanyl in it, or it's got something, and you don't know, and next thing you know, you're addicted, and then you lose your home, and then you're on the street, and then, I never thought of that. Because I kept thinking, well, gosh, all these homeless people are on fentanyl. I'm like, how do they afford that? They can't afford a house. I'm like, oh
Right.
my God.
Right.
And how fun is that? That doesn't look fun at all.
I've worked with so many folks. This is across the board. It doesn't matter. Male, female, white, black, transgender, not transgender, doesn't matter.
Doesn't
And
matter.
I support all people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've seen a common denominator is that they don't choose
Wow.
to do right.
Wow.
A lot of people, I mean, it's in literally, weed, it's in, benzodiazepines. It is, and I don't mean prescription stuff, right? I mean like pressed pills, right? It is to a point, or it has gotten to the point where, I've had people look at me in my eyes and say, "Kev, if you offer me a handful of actual Xanax bars, and then in this hand you have Xanax fentanyl bars, I'm going to choose the Xanax fentanyl bars." Why? Because that's an opiate.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they don't care about the Xanax, they don't care about the benzodiazepines, the actual true benzos, but because they're an opioid withdrawal, if they don't use it, they're going to experience withdrawal. It's going to be almost like they're dead. So they have two options: is to get help or to continue using to stop the withdrawals. And it's sad. And like I say, I've seen that across the board. It doesn't matter what population you're in, what you identify with. And that's what's so heartbreaking.
Wow. This is dangerous. Like, my goodness, that is not, as a doctor or a nurse, that is not the Hippocratic oath. I mean, come on, guys. I mean,
Well, and no, a lot of the opioid crisis, if you look at what happened years ago, a few years ago, one of the big, I think it was Johnson and Johnson, and I don't know, it was some company. They got
yeah.
fined and sued for however much million for the opioid epidemic. But if you look at the history of it, right, of your opioids, this is how we came to be, right? And there's
Wow.
again many factors, but one of the main factors, and this is why some of those companies got sued, is because they were saying that it wasn't addictive. You know, I'm gonna use for an
Mm,
example, right? Oxycontin, right? They were saying Oxycontin is not addictive. They were saying, you know, some of those certain types of opioids were not addictive.
mm,
Unfortunately, look at where we're at.
mm.
And so did they truly know? I've seen documentaries on it where did they actually really know it was addictive and just lied about it? I don't know. I'm not going to be the arbiter of judgment.
Business is business.
Business is business. Oh yeah, but
I
that's
got a client forever.
right.
Wow.
And unfortunately, that's how we came to the opioid epidemic.
Goodness
That's
gracious.
how a lot of this stuff unfolded. And so, do I think they truly meant to put us where we're at? I don't think they meant to. I mean, you can come up with conspiracies all day, but we're here.
We're here. That's it. The bottom line. You know, what do you know much about what happened with Prince? I mean, this kind of in topic, but
No, not fully. I've heard about was it Elvis or MJ? It was one of those. I think it was. I heard about. I forget, but not Prince.
because he was definitely a clean eater, drug free, but because of his hips and stuff like that, he had major surgeries. He was taking some stuff, so for the
Wow.
pain, and they think it was probably fentanyl. He probably died from it. Yeah, got some bad stuff or whatever. Got too much. I don't know, but
You know, that's the problem with the CBD stuff, right? That's going on. This huge CBD industry that's being sold in stores. Can't ever tell what the levels are,
hmm
especially when you're talking about stuff that is not medically administered, medically
tested.
monitored.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm doing a presentation on cannabinoids coming up, and that's a huge problem that we have.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is a huge problem because it might say on that, package this, but really and truly it's actually this, right?
Oh my
There's no
goodness.
nationwide or full type of,
Mm,
regulatory process to manage this. And so what are you really consuming? How much
mhm.
of it are you really consuming?
Consuming. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
so that's a huge clinical medical concern that I have.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like, well, you can't sell baked goods on your own. It's like,
Right?
it's like, well, we don't know what's in that. You know,
Right.
Gosh, yeah, that's really interesting. It's very insightful.
No, it is. I think it's sad. It really is sad. So when you look at what happened to
Mm,
Prince, like, and other many major musicians, what was the level in that substance? Was it actually medical? Was it not medical? Was it supervised by, medical practitioner? Was it not? I don't know. I'm not a
yeah,
professional in
I,
that. I'm not an expert in their stories, but
yeah,
that story kind of relates me to, the CBD stuff that we're in.
yeah, yeah. I think it was under a doctor's care, but it was all sketchy and stuff. I think, yeah. And then
Mhm.
he had that. He was flying back. He was from a concert or something on his plane, and he like flatlined, I guess, or something on the plane,
Wow.
or something happened on the
Yeah.
plane. They had to land and get him into the hospital, and they brought him back. Yeah, and then he wouldn't stay in the hospital. He would had to go be a superstar or something, and then can't have anybody see me here. Yeah, and then I think that week he died. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. Kind of makes me think of what happened to Juice World. There's so many conspiracy theories around what happened to Juice World. One of the biggest theories is out there, and I don't know. For those of you who don't know who Juice World is, check him out. He was a up and coming rap artist. A lot of your rap stars actually praised him for his ability to do music. But one of the biggest theories was that he was on a plane and he had gotten a call, or somebody has said that, they're going to arrest you for, something when you touch, whenever you make landfall or touch ground at whatever airport. Well, they were saying that he took all the drugs and swallowed them and he OD'd. It was an accidental OD. Now, I don't know how true that is,
Right.
right? But it's sad because, like, really, like, and that's my whole concern is yeah, I do believe in harm reduction, but I also think that we need to know what we're actually putting into our body. We
That's
need to
right.
know how that's going to really impact us and affect us.
Yeah. True. 100%.
No, yeah,
Oof. Yeah.
yeah, it's sad.
Challenging times, man.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's unfortunately the world we're living in. And so my question is how do we get past this? Like, what are the next steps to get past this?
I think it's complicated. I think it happens. You can see it happening with society as it moves really fast, right? Especially with the tech stuff. And then, people are more overworked, overconsumed, with things, and it's like, then they go for other things and you could just see this like, "Wah," and then goes, somebody sees an opportunity to make money. We'll throw that and that, in that medication and we'll do that. And that's like, now we have customers, it's like, oh yeah, but now your customers are actually on the street. So that didn't work. You could just see all this stuff happening. It's like, how do you uncluster that? But it seems to me, I think just what came in when we were talking about that was, again, it starts with foundational self-love, self-care, health. Like you have to stop yourself from being that runaway ego.
Yeah.
You have to stop. We all have to stop, and then we have to care about each other. But you can't care about each other if you're not caring about yourself.
Yeah, I think it really boils down to that. I think the solution to a lot of the crises that's going on, whether it's, it doesn't matter what crisis you want to call it. I think it really boils down to, you know, self acceptance, right? Knowing,
Yeah,
know thyself,
yeah,
physician, heal thyself,
yeah,
whatever the case may
absolutely.
be. I think we're missing that.
Yeah,
I really think that's a huge part of, what's going on. Yeah, we can make all the technological advances there is. We can put men on Mars. I think that's what Elon Musk is trying to do now. We can
hmm
put people on the moon. We can have all the satellites around the universe.
but
Uh,
wherever you go, there you are. You can
where,
run, but you can't hide.
right? Yeah, yeah. Big Brother has their eye. uh,
Woo.
but yeah, it's knowing who you are.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's
yeah.
really really key to
And
everything.
I think once you do that too, you can have a purpose. What's your purpose? You know, what is it? Yeah, that's the question to ask. I think we all have to have something, that we live into.
Yeah, I think it is having, believing in something or having something to live up to. I mean, look at what happened to Jurassic Park and their movies, right? And like,
Mhm.
if think about like if we were to relate that to real life, right?
Which they're trying to already.
Right?
Didn't you
Pushing
see the movie?
yeah. I've seen all of them.
There's a reason why they're extinct, okay?
Yeah, that's why, we have to learn how to live and thrive.
Yeah,
Live and thrive, right
that's
here.
right.
We
That's
have
right.
to learn how to live and thrive.
Nice.
Yeah. I guess one of my last few questions to you is how do you live and thrive?
Well, I have my purpose. So my purpose is to take care of myself and be an example, of things for others and be a contribution. That's, how am I living and thriving? That's, you got to be a contribution somehow, because I think it's like this. It goes in and then it goes out. It doesn't go out and then come in. Then you're dealing with, all kinds of other stuff. So it starts here, and then you can let it go out. And then there's more. It's like for, a mother, it's like if you're running around trying to take care of all your kids and you're not taking care of yourself, well, guess what? You're not really taking care of your kids. You're not giving them your fullness of your example, of your wellness. You're giving them stressed out, tired, grumpy, can't handle it. That's what you're giving them. It's like, but I'm there. Yeah, but nobody wants you there. Okay. Now your children are firing you. That's just an example, but I think it's that across the board for everybody.
I definitely would have to concur with you on that one, 100%. For me, I think it just, why am I an okay therapist, right? I'm not a decent or best or perfect or expert. I don't consider myself any of that. But why am I a decent therapist? It's because I have and understand that purpose, and my purpose, like is to contribute to society in some way, shape, form, or fashion. All right, next question. And people who are watching this, if they want to get in contact with you, maybe have you do performances, maybe have you do a speaking opportunity, anything of that sort, how would they be able to contact you?
It's really easy. Just go to glendamusic.com, which is my website, glendamusic.com. And then there says contact. You can just email me and, just say, hey. And for whatever purpose, like you said. So I'm there, I'm available, and I do a lot of philanthropic stuff. So I'm open to that. Like, I did Music Healing Mini, which is a show that's going to happen, I think this weekend, actually, up in Washington, in Kalama. So I was there last year, not this year, but he does really good work for things like that, raising awareness for people just really standing in their own well-being and healing. So yeah, that's how they can contact me. I'm all over the web, so you just Glenda Benevides, and then you got my YouTube channel, you get my Instagram, you got everything. It's all there. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. If there's one thing you want somebody watching this episode to take away from it, what would that be?
I would say just take the time, which is the running theme that we're doing, and just really take the time to know yourself. And it's okay. Like however you are or want to be, it's okay. Just make it okay. And if you need help, just get help. Like you're not alone. You may feel alone, but that's an illusion. You're not alone. There's somebody out there that will listen and listen deeply and care and get you opportunities to straighten things out. That's what I would say.
One of the last questions here. Mm-hmm. You ready for it? It's the most important question ever.
Okay.
What is your call to action to people?
In what perspective? Like
whatever perspective you want to give. This is subjective and not objective.
Okay. My call to action. Well, I would say, please support arts, please support artists, support myself, support me, buy my art, buy my music, come to my shows, come to my retreat that I'm having in the UK, things like that. Just be curious and be a partner with me, be in community with me. That's my call to action. Buy my book. I'll plant a tree for you.
I love it. Well, listen, I'd like to thank you.
You're welcome.
I am humbled by your experience and you being on here. Thank you. And you are more than welcome to come back anytime, day, night, doesn't matter.